This is Introduction to PHP. PHP starts out as a small open source project that evolved as more and more people found out how useful it was. You may be wondering that what's the meaning of PHP? PHP is just a pre-hypertext programming, as in it's an hypertext processor. PHP is a server-side scripting language that is embedded in HTML. That is to say, you can embed PHP inside a HTML. So, but just know, like the JavaScript, like the CSS, whenever you want to create them, you always, as in the name of the page is always, you always create it as whenever you want to create a new file. Whenever you want to use maybe your JavaScript or your CSS, you always use them. Maybe you create the name of the file, you now say .html extension. That is to say, inside the HTML, you can run your CSS code, you can run your JavaScript code, you can also run your HTML code. But whenever you want to create a page that will run a PHP, even though you want to place HTML or JavaScript inside that same page, make sure that whenever you want to create a page that will run PHP, make sure that the extension will be .php. So if you create a page that has .php extension, it can run JavaScript can run inside it, HTML can run inside it, CSS can run inside it, PHP can also run inside it. So whenever you want to create any page that deals with PHP, make sure you save your page with .php. You may be wondering that what is the benefit of PHP? PHP is a server-side scripting, and it has a lot of benefits. You discover that in our previous tutorial, I've taught you about how to create a form, how to validate your form making use of JavaScript, but there is something I didn't talk about, and that is when the user fills the form, where is it going to go? Imagine you going to a particular website. You are trying to log into a particular website. Let's say you are trying to log into maybe you are trying to log into a particular website. Let's say you are trying to log into this, like now you need username and password, but my username and password is already saved inside the database. What will I use to retrieve this value whenever I click on login now? And that means whenever I click on login now, what this form will do is that it's going to go to my database and check whether I have, as in any username I put here, whether there is a market username in the database. If you check, then it is going to go to the profile page. But what connects this form that I have? Normally I build this form with HTML. This is not, we use HTML to build form. But what connects this form with the database? You know, a database is just a place where your information have been kept. So this form now is going to be linked with the database. So what connects them together is all referred to as a server-side language. And the kind of server-side language that we are trying to talk about right now is PHP. So you can use PHP to connect. For example, now when you click on sign up, when you fill out your form, when you fill out your information inside this place now, and you decide to click on register, you discover that all this information that you filled here is going to be stored in a particular place. What takes all your values, the values you are putting inside these things, what takes them and dump them inside the database? There is something that takes those values from this form and dump it inside the database. That thing is what we refer to as a PHP. So PHP is a very complex language, but we are going to start now with the rudiment. So by the time we are able to finish everything, then we will now teach you how to connect all the forms that we have teach you on how to create to the database. So that's just one of the things that we are going to achieve after you finish the tutorial on Ewebtutor. We are going to teach you how to create a forms that will post its values inside the database, how to retrieve that values in case of login forms, and how to update the data that is already in the database, just like JAMP. I believe you know what JAMP is. When you fill a JAMP form, you discover that by the time by the time you fill the form and you submit it, you don't go back to the JAMP office and submit your slip. You will discover that in the day of exam, they will print something like a photo card, your photo card. The JAMP officials will have printed it out. You don't wonder how they got that photo card. It's just that when you fill the form and you click on submit, in their database your information has been stored in database. That is, a PHP has stored the information that you filled. It has been stored. It has stored it in the database. So the JAMB officials will now retrieve that information from their database. So that is how they are able to have your information, even though you never go to their office to submit your information. So PHP is a very complex language, but I believe by the time we finish this Ewebtutor tutorial, you will be able to understand how all this is being done. So they use PHP with a lot of database. They use it with MySQL database. They use it with database, just a place where your informations are being saved. Any information that deals with forms, anything you collect from forms, is just a place that it is being saved. And there are various types of database. We have the MySQL database, we have the PostgreSQL database, we have the Oracle, we have the Symbian, we have the Infomix, and we have the Microsoft SQL Server. So that's just about it. Well, for the case of theory, please just go through all these just go through all these write-ups so that you have much knowledge about what we are trying to talk about. So common uses of PHP. PHP performs systems functions, just like when we are talking about the normal functions. Right now, from files on your system, it can create, it can open a file, it can read a file, it can write in a file. Let's say for example now you have a file on your system. Let's say for example now I have a file on my system. Which file can I use? Let me try to look for one. You have the file that says must do me. So you will discover that, let's look at this is work on billing. The content of this file must do me is work on billing. If I want to change the contents right now, there are ways I can use in doing it. The first way is I can open this file now and edit the content that is inside it. I can open this file and edit the content that is inside it and save it. Anytime I open this file, I will discover that the contents that I just saved will be there. But instead of me to open this file with with a mouse, I can decide to use PHP. I can create a code right now that whenever I just click on a button or a submit button, I will have updated the data that is inside this file. What I'm trying to say is, in essence, that you can use PHP to open a file. Like this file now must do. I can use PHP to open the file. I can use PHP to create a file. If I want to create a new file on my desktop, I don't need to start going to my desktop, the desktop of my system. I don't need to start going to the desktop and screen new file, open new desktop mail. I don't need to do that. I can use PHP to create it. So I can use PHP to open it. I can use PHP to read on it and to write and to close them. So PHP do all those things. So PHP can also handle forms. Like the example I told you, that in the case of JAMB, whenever you are filling a registration form, you can use PHP to gather the information and send it to the database, or you can send it as an email. PHP can do this. I believe before we finish our tutorial, we'll be able to explain how to do all these things, because there are some times that you may capture a form like this. Maybe you say choose login. The user fill all your form in your site. The user fill your form in your site. After you click on register, there are ways that the information of the form, there are ways in which the owner of the site can get the information. The first way is when the user fill the form and click on register, the information can be stored inside database. And I've told you the examples of database. The second way is that by the time the user click on register, this information that the user fill, you may create it, you may write the program in such a way that it will not be dumped inside database. It will be sent as an email. So that means the owner of the website can go to his email address and have access to all the. So by the time the user fill this form now, so irrespective of what you want, it depends on what, as a programmer, it depends on what you want. If you want this information now, by the time the user click on register, you want this information to be stored in database, then you program this form with PHP. You can dump whatever value that is inside this form, you can dump it to the database. But in case you want these details to be sent to your email, so that you don't have to be going to the database and be checking it out, you'll be able to know that by the time any user register on your site, you will receive the stuff as in his or her details inside your email. You can use PHP to do that also. So I believe before the end of this tutorial you'll be able to understand how to do this. So you can use PHP to add, delete and modify elements within your database. I've explained all these things for you, like posting a form in the database. I've explained you can use PHP to access cookies, variables and set cookies. Using PHP you can restrict users to access some page of your website. Yes, you can also do that. In the case of login, if the users hasn't logged in, like my site now, I use PHP to in this site now, Ewebtutor now, I use PHP to restrict users. So if you click on admin area now, without you supplying your username and password, you can't log in here. So it's the work of PHP. It's PHP that will be able to tell me that okay, you normally JavaScript will be able to say that if I did not enter anything right now and I click on login, I've told you when you are dealing with form validation, JavaScript will be able to say that okay, username not enter, password not enter. This is JavaScript. So this is an example of JavaScript. So but if what I enter, username and password, if I have entered something now, by the time I click on login, let me say markets. Normally my username is not market, my username is markets. So by the time I click on login now, since I have already entered these two field, so JavaScript is not going to work again because JavaScript have seen these two field entered. But by the time I click on login now, what will happen is PHP will now go to database and correlate what I input here. It will correlate it with the data that is in database. If there is a match, it will go to the profile page. But if there is no match, look at the error that is going to give. If there is no match, it will tell me that the user login is invalid. Please try again because the username is incorrect. So but if I use a username, then it's going to it's ought to log me in. But right now the password is not correct, so that's why it's not logging in. So right now that's just about the common uses of PHP. So another thing I want to talk about is just the characteristics of PHP. It has simplicity, efficiency, Then another one that we have is the security, secured, flexibility and familiarity. So let's just write a simple program of PHP, of how it works. A simple program. So I've told you, let's just say let's create a file that says my first PHP dot. Remember I told you that whenever you want to create any file that holds PHP, any file that holds PHP inside it, even though you want to write JavaScript, even though you want to write HTML inside that file, make sure you save that file with what? .php. It's not like whenever you want to create JavaScript or CSS that you save the file with .html. But this time around, irrespective of whatever language, whether PHP, whether JavaScript, whether CSS that you want to create, make sure that you save the file. Since PHP language is going to be in that page, make sure you save it with .php. So right now I'm going to save this. So I will just copy this, my first program. I believe you can see now that in this PHP file now, what do we use? We make use of HTML. You can see that this is HTML. So right now we make use of HTML. You can see that we make use of HTML. So this code is, there should be closing tag of head here. There should be closing tag of head. So there should be closing tag of head. So right now the body. So I've explained, I believe under when we are dealing with HTML, I've already explained what all this means. So but one thing I want you to understand is whenever you are creating a PHP language, like the CSS, they have the open tag and the closing tag. The JavaScript also have the open tag and closing tag whenever you want to start them. But whenever you are creating PHP, the open tag of PHP is like this. Either you create it like this or you create it like this. So this is what they use here now to create their open tag of PHP. But it's possible you don't put PHP there. It's possible you just put the lesser than and question mark. But this is just the tag of open tag of what? PHP. So whatever you write inside this line now is going to the system is going to read it as a PHP code. Whatever is inside it, you're going to read it as a PHP statement. So the closing tag, this is the way to write the closing tag. Question mark and greater than. This is the closing tag. And some people can write at the end you can put PHP here, but it's just optional. But like me for example now, whenever I want to write the open tag of my PHP, I will use this method, and my closing tag I use this method. So for the case of this tutorial, this is the PHP code that we are trying to as in show. we are just trying to show something like hello world outside. So whenever you want to do something outside, you make use of echo. You want to print something, just like whenever you make use of document.write in JavaScript, you want to print something out. But in PHP it's very different. Whenever you want to print something out for users to see, you make use of echo. Or another thing that we can use is print, either of the two. But right now let's use echo and see what we have. So this is just our first program, and you can see that my PHP code is inside my body, so it's going to show as my body. So now let's save this. So let's go to our website. So what's the name of the file I created? My first php.php. My first php.php. Can you see hello world? So this is just what you put there. We ask it to echo. So if I don't want to use echo, I can change this echo to print. It's still the same thing. So that it's just to show what is inside these comments, as in what is inside this symbol. What's inside this symbol? So it's just going to print them out. And what you have here, I told you in HTML, is the web title. It's what you have here. So if I use print now, let's see what I will have if I use print. So if I use print now, you see I still have the same thing. So whether you use print or you use echo, you are still going to have the same thing. So that's just our first PHP program. So like I told you, that's just about the PHP program. So whenever you want to start, the opening tag of PHP is just this, and the closing tag is just this. There are various ways in which you can write the opening tag of PHP and the closing tag, but the most easiest one, irrespective of whatever way you use, is still going to give you the same thing. So why wasting your time writing a long method? Another method that you can use is to write the opening tag of PHP in this way. Let's see. You write it in this way. You can as well write it in this way, because it's also a script. Because JavaScript is a script, CSS is a script, HTML is also a script. So you can write the HTML, you can put it inside the script. Can you see? So you can just say echo hello world. So it will still give you the same thing. So this time around we are saying we are using scripts opening tag. And every script there is an attribute inside any script. Whenever you use script, an attribute of language, so you just put PHP as language. So just as well, instead of using this script syntax, we have been using this script syntax when we want to doing our CSS. We use it also when we want to call on JavaScript, the open syntax and the closing syntax of JavaScript. So you can also, if you like it, you can also use it when you want to call on PHP. But the best way to do PHP open tag is using this, and the best way to do PHP closing tag is this. And note, any statement in PHP always end with a semicolon. Just know that. So that's just on that. So another thing is just the PHP environmental setup. Since you are using the online server to test all your application, since whatever you are designing or whatever you are learning, you are testing it on your server online. On your online server that will give you, that is the sites that will give you. So I believe everything that you need to run PHP is already present in your site. So even though you don't use our, normally we give you, when you are registering for this tutorial, we give you an IP and we give you a domain name which serves as your IP, and we give you a web host also. We host the site for you. So even though you want to go and host the site or the domain name in any hosting company, everything you need to run PHP it will come with the hosting, whatever hosting company that you use. It will come with the hosting that they gave you. You just need to pay them whatever money they asked. They will have configured everything for you, so you don't need of trying to configure it yourself. So what I'm just trying to say in essence is this: even though this is already created, this server is created free for you, it also comes with a PHP environment. That is, you can run your PHP code in it. So like now, if you can't run it, how is it going? How are you going to see hello world? It's because of PHP is already installed on your server. That's why you are able to run PHP code. So what I'm just trying to say in essence is this: irrespective of whatever server you are using, whether you pay for the server or whether the server is giving free for you, like what Ewebtutor is giving free, or whether you purchase this server in site like EduStars, GoDaddy, HostGator, any site like that that deals with hosting, any hosting company. If you purchase a server from them, or let me just call it a site or a web host, if you host any site from them, just know it comes with a PHP environment. So no need of trying to install it yourself. So everything already comes there. So, and what you have is a web server. You need a web server to run a PHP, or you need a web server to run PHP. And in our home now, we already have a web server also. I've told you, even though so far you have a web host, so far you have hosted a site, it comes with a web server automatically. So whether you buy it or whether they give you the server, the host free, it comes with a web server. So, and it comes with a database. I don't know, the reason I haven't shown you the database aspect is because we have not started working on database. So, but just know, by the time you get to the database section, you are going to know how to access your database in your server. Although now we give you this domain name free, but this domain name still also comes with a database. So what I'm just trying to say is that whenever you host a site, even if it's a free host, it comes with a database. So by the time we get to the database section, we are going to explain to you how to access your database. And another thing is the PHP parser. In order to process PHP script instruction, a parser must be installed to generate HTML output. Now this also is also there. So Ewebtutor is just an application that teaches you how to design a website using your mobile phone or whatever device you may be using. Does everything you need in order to run PHP already comes with your server, whether our free server or maybe you use a paid server. So let's start working. Thank you.